Evening, folks. Hope everyone is well. I am just back from Christmas shopping, evening opening of shops, which is the good way to do it because only a few shops are open, so you're already limited, and they shut at 8 o'clock, so the clock is ticking. So there's no time for dilly-dally. It's like get in, have a look around, get the prezzies. Very efficient. I am very happy. All right, so what we're doing in this video is, well, we're going to do a series of videos. So I'm working on a little EP. Everything's come out of software. In fact, everything's come out of a single sample library. But what we're going to try and do is re-record some of the stems through outboard equipment, see if we can spice up the recordings. And in this video, we're going to use the Model D as essentially as a little bit of an external sort of audio processing tool. Here we go. And essentially, we're going to use the filter, really, on the Model D. That's what we're going to do in this video. You can pick up a Model D, for about £200, $200 secondhand, a little bit more brand new. Or of course you could do this with the newly reissued Moog Model D. If you've got £5,300 or $5,300 in your back pocket. Anyway, what I'll do in this video, I'll show you how to set it up. It's not that hard, but we have to, as well as sending audio to the audio in of the Model D, we also have to trigger the envelope. So there's a little bit of a setup to go through, so I'll go through that and then we'll hear the results of some of the stems I've re-recorded. I'm just setting up the software side and the hardware side. It's not difficult, but there's one thing I will point out that I forgot and then spent 5 minutes going, what's going on? To do this technique, I've got the Model D set up over there. Lovely. I've got the phono out of output 3 and 4 on the UMC 404 HD. Going into the audio in of the Model D here. Okay. Now in the software, I want to turn off the send to the master and then add a new hardware send within the project, but I'll do a screen grab to show you that. I also need to set up a MIDI track to trigger the envelope of the Model D. It's not that complicated. It's fine. So that sounds, and yes, I'm doing this from the original MIDI. So I'm not sending audio stems. I'm just sending the audio out of Decent Sampler straight into the Model D. So that sounds like that. So I'll ride the frequency cutoff of the filter so we can hear that kicking in. And that sounds something like this. So obviously by riding that filter, we can more easily hear how the Model D is affecting the sound. And we could record that, right? Because we're going to record new stems essentially. So we could have that in, or we could just sort of just record them as is. This is the stem going through the Model D. Let me just demonstrate in Reaper what's going on here. So this is the original sort of track, pad 1, which is patch number 19 of the original Isometra sample instrument. There's my MIDI, nice sort of pad sound. Under routing, what you'll see is master send is unticked, and I've got this new hardware send. So if I was just sort of opening this, well, this is, when I opened this 5 minutes ago, this is how it's set up. So obviously send the audio to the master. Awesome. So we're unticking this so we only hear like the affected sound, and then it's out to 3 and 4. So I've got that phono cable in the back of the sound card. like so. And then so I've obviously got that solo, so we just hear that, and we're not hearing it going to the master. And I've set up a new MIDI track over here that just says MIDI gate. So basically this opens the envelope of the Model D. All that's going on there is I've just mapped the MIDI output to the port that the Model D's into. And if you're doing this over USB, you'll just select Model D from this list here, send to channel 4 because I know my Model D is set to 4, and that's how we set up the DAW. And then what I will then need to do is obviously insert another track, which would then be like, let's call this, pad 1 audio. And what am I doing? Pad 1 audio. Let's just make the track bigger, and then right click on the recording, and then I'm going to input stereo and input mono, because it's a mono synth, which is an interesting thing because generally the stem would be stereo, but this is coming out of a mono synth, so it'll be a mono track. So should I record it twice and then I'll do some hard panning? I don't know, but anyway, that's how I select my in, and I can arm that for recording and happy days. So we should, so you can see how, it's then receiving that. And there's the filter sweeping happening. Oh, lovely. Now, I'm going to try we can do a little bit of filter sweeping to add a bit of interest to the sound. Might as well. But we don't need to go crazy, right? Might be a bit hot even with these filter sweeps. No one said it'd be easy to do this. Let's see what that looks like. So the first bit of audio that I recorded was coming in a bit hot, especially with that filter sweeping. So I've just done that little segment again. So let's just solo the original. Let's go back to routing. Let's send it back to the master. Mute the hardware send to the Model D. So the original line sounds like this. Nothing wrong with that. The newly recorded stem through the Model D sounds like this. Sounds a bit clippy to me, but if I look at the audio, it's not clipping, so it's just, I think it's just it might just be a level thing. Might just be digital clipping we're hearing. And here's the point where we sort of trick ourselves into thinking it's better because it's going through hardware. It's different. Is it better? It might be one of those things where, if we do this with a couple of the tracks, like those slight, hopefully improvements overall make for a much more interesting track. I think it sounds a bit more alive, I'll be honest. That's the word that comes to mind. It's a bit more alive. And whether that's because it's, you know, filter sweeping, or whether it's just it's going through hardware. And obviously I've had the option of using both the original stem and the new Model D stem as well. And I can mix them both, couldn't I? Lots of options. Let's mute the original and play this new one in the mix. Now obviously this is an unmastered mix because this is the original sort of composition project. Don't hate it. I don't hate it. Let's do the rest of this track through the Model D and ghost them in the machine and see where we are. Alrighty, so the last couple of days I've taken 3 of the stems, actually, well, pre-stem, 3 of the MIDI tracks playing back the sample instrument, and I've recorded them through the Model D. I think the one I did, as I was kind of narrating, I ended up doing again because it was a bit hot. So I would say tips for using the Model D. Keep an eye on the overload meter for the external in, and if that's going into the red, I'd suggest pulling, you know, have you know, well, reining the volume of the incoming audio on there, and you can always increase the audio coming out of the Model D here. Okay, as an idea. Remember, this is an analog synth, so these filters are, it can be hot. So watch your ears, don't go crazy, or do go crazy, up to you. Anyway, I've got, so I've got sort of like 3 new mono stems of the isometra in various patches gone through the Model D. Let's hear a section of, this is track 2. Let's hear, let's do an A-B comparison. What I'll do is I'll cue up, these are either going to be the original stems, just on 3 tracks, or, so it's either going to be the original, or it's going to be the new Model D ones. So let's call this A, and then I'll do B. Which do you prefer? Which do you think sound better? Can you guess? You should be able to guess. So this is A. So this is B. Here are the answers. A, the first one I played was the new Model D stems, and what I just played now, B, was the original stems straight out of Decent Sampler. I think the stems straight out of Decent Sampler maybe sound nicer, I've got to be honest, but the ones out of the Model D kind of have more character. So for example, pad 1, original stem, See, it's good. It's good. Model D stem. So you can hear that I'm riding, obviously, the filter frequency, because why wouldn't you? And again, when I was recording them earlier, I think the Model D ones definitely seem to have a bit more life. Let's take another. So this Pad 2 original. It's nice, isn't it? It's nice. It's nice. It's really nice. Pad 2 Model D version. So what you're hearing here is me playing with the LFO of the Model D, because again, why wouldn't you? Just to add a little bit of movement into that filter. And then just give you another snippet just at the end here. So there's a little outro line, original. So really, really nice sounding. Model D version. You can hear that. You can hear the LFO kicking in. It's just a bit more sort of interesting. So if I mute the original stems, so we're just hearing these 3 new stems in the mix, with all the rest of the stuff going on, I'll go from that same place. Okay, let's wrap the video up here, folks. So in this video, we were just using the Model D as a sort of outboard piece of equipment. Essentially, we were using it as an external filter, weren't we, really? Model D, you can pick these up for about £200 second hand. Compared to the new Moog Model D, £5,300, I think. Even like an old Sherman filter tank would be about £600 on the second-hand market. So for a little investment, you've got a nice analog filter here, and also you get a nice analog monosynth thrown in for free. So I just thought it'd be I was curious to hear how the Model D would handle just some stems coming out of VST, and to sort of liven up the production on this track. Next we'll move on and look at, I don't know, tape or maybe some other hardware filters that could also be interesting. I'm thinking about the Wasp. I am thinking about the Wasp. Okay, that's it for this video. I think it may be turning out to be quite a long video, but if you made it to the end, that's great. Feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, feel free to ring the bell, and all that good stuff. Cheers, bye.